Thank you so much for coming and celebrating Leadership Brainery's 8th birthday. We are so excited to host our Founders Chat. We've been doing this for several years now to celebrate all the incredible milestones that Leadership Brainery has been privileged to accomplish over the years. And so thank you so much for being here. We have some very special guests. We have uh, former and current students, we have supporters, we have partners, and honestly, we just could not do it without our community. And so we're going to jump straight in and celebrating. And as folks come in, like I said, in talk in the chat, share what makes you happy, and be a part of this celebration with us. All right. So first, I want to give a special thanks, of course, to the Leadership Brainery team. Many folks have had the privilege to meet our team members, knowing that they are working extremely hard, sometimes too hard, making sure that Leadership Brainery's mission is a huge success and that our students get all the support that they need to thrive, not only in their current circumstances, but especially once they enroll and start to matriculate through graduate school. I also want to acknowledge our incredible board of directors. And so we are also bringing on some new board members that we're extremely excited about, but definitely huge shout out to our new board chair, Matt Matai, and our former board chair, Catherine Wong. And you'll hear a little bit more about both of them in a moment. Huge shout out to our students for continuing to work extremely hard at Leadership Brainery, achieving your goals, and holding yourself accountable to sometimes the rigorous work that we put you through. All of our incredible supporters and donors, this would not be possible without you. And of course, many of our partners, whether that's our academic partners or our strategic alliances that make sure that our graduate school pipeline continues to stay strong. All right, so this is a very special event because first, we have you all see these old pictures. You can laugh and all this stuff, put some things in the chat. All right, so me and Jonathan, I'm gonna let Jonathan say something really quickly because Jonathan was student body president when we were at Grambling State University, our HBCU. And we are really excited because we have two very special guests joining us today, who are also embodying that HBCU journey and that HBCU vision. And so when we were at Grambling, Jonathan was student body president, and I was his director of student relations. And we were doing some incredible things, not only on our campus, but around the country. And so we started to get outreach from our peers around how are you all getting so much done, and can you all help us out? And so many don't know, but we started Leadership Brainery while we were at Grambling as a for-profit and operated that for 5 years, going around the country, training thousands of student leaders, mostly student government associations, on how to network, how to build relationships with their administration, how to create budgets, how to properly listen to their peers, the students on campus, to really meet their needs. And so while we're celebrating 8 years, Leadership Brainery has been around for 13 years. And thanks to, our foundation at Grambling State. And Jonathan, please go ahead and share a memorable moment, if you can, about that time at Grambling and us creating Leadership Brainery.
Well, I think that there's no way that you can ever say Grambling State University without saying the place where everybody is somebody.
That's
And
right.
and that spirit is what really guides our work and our lives in so many different ways. Because even with the systems that so many of our young people are bucking up against every single day and trying to navigate, it is their sense of somebodyness that is important, to ensure that they remain resilient, and hopeful and ambitious, even when the systems and the world around them might try and convince them that they're not worthy of the best that life has to offer. And that is the undercurrent of our work always. That is what keeps us going, that healthy estimation of who we are and what we've been put on this earth to do. And the way that we get to pour back into young people, I am just so privileged and so honored, and to now get to reflect on that's been 13 years ago since graduating Grambling. My goodness, time flies so fast. And 8 years since Derek mentioned us transitioning from doing this work on a for-profit basis, consulting basis, to a full-fledged nonprofit organization stepping up to make sure that young people who lack access to advanced opportunities, especially through education, as a direct pipeline into workforce leadership as well, that we can continue to do that work and make that happen. So we made that switch in 2018 after our own lived experience navigating from Grambling into graduate school, came up to Boston. I stopped in Texas for my Master's of Theological Studies before coming up to do my JD at Boston University. But Derek was already in Boston at Tufts School of Medicine, where we both experienced in graduate school being grossly underrepresented and asking the question to admissions, why are there not more people like us from our backgrounds in these competitive graduate schools? Because we know the connection it has to management and senior leadership in the workforce. And there are just certain occupations that you cannot step into but going through advanced education. And so admissions told us they couldn't find qualified, diverse candidates. And we told them that that is one of the most lazy responses. And there are so many deserving young leaders out there who deserve to be invested in. And that is what we rolled up our sleeves to do. And here we are 8 years later, having impacted thousands of students, celebrating so many different milestones. And we got a little timeline that I think we're going to take you through in a second to give a little bit more color to this journey.
Yes, indeed. So we have this amazing timeline. But before we get there, I have one more thing here. So we're going to do a raffle. Some of you are already have your custom LB shoes, but look, you can still win the raffle and maybe get another pair of shoes to give to someone else. The person who won the raffle last year actually gifted it back to one of our Leadership Brainery students. But nevertheless, one thing that we would love for you all to do as a birthday gift to Leadership Brainery is to leave us a Google review. I know that is probably one of the oddest gifts that you ever have given to someone for their birthday. However, Leadership Brainery is going back national this year. And as folks continue to search us, we want them to see the strong community that we have around us. And so, however, we have supported you, or if you are a supporter of Leadership Brainery, share why you support or share what support that you've gotten from the organization. We would love that. And everyone who gives us a review will be put in that raffle for the custom LB Converse. All right. And so I'm going to walk you through this quick timeline. I'm going to go extremely fast because we have an amazing conversation to get to. And so, of course, as we celebrate 8 years, we need to see what we've done over the past 8 years. And so our first year, we opened our first office in 2018. It was a closet inside of what is now the larger Leadership Brainery. But me, our amazing intern, Loxie Sung, who just graduated last week with her MBA from Columbia, by the way. We started Leadership Brainery in this closet, and some of our students do remember this, but we were grinding it out. And it's just been such an amazing opportunity to see us expand even in our physical space. We hosted our first summit at Harvard Law School, where we also brought in our first ambassador cohort, and it was a phenomenal opportunity. In year two, COVID happened. And so we had just started this nonprofit, y'all, and you can imagine. So we had year one, it was a huge success. We garnered amazing partners right away, amazing students. We had an incredible business plan, donors. COVID happened, everything went out the door. But we stayed resilient. And the first thing that we did was notice that our students were suffering. And so we launched our Student Relief Fund that still exists today for a different reason. However, we provided many grants to over 200 students who needed support for housing, food, travel, storage, and urgent financial support. We took our second summit virtual, which was great because we were able to host in hundreds of students on our first virtual summit. And you'll see me there with our backdrop in my apartment living room, making it happen through it all. And an amazing thing that happened in year two was Catherine Wong came into the Leadership Brainery's community. And we cannot thank Catherine and appreciate Catherine more. She came in as from Boston College, there for 15 years as a startup inaugural director of equity implementation, and she really helped us shape a really strong curriculum and culture at Leadership Brainery to make sure that our students thrive and that make sure that our operations were sustainable and operated in equity. And after that, Catherine joined our board, and then she became our board chair. And so she's seen all the parts of Leadership Brainery, and we are so grateful for you, Catherine. Thank you so much. And you all see in that picture up there, Matt Matai, our new chair, there too. And we appreciate you so much, Matt. Year two, we raised $42,000. Year three, these are huge milestones, you all. Many of you all, tell us all the time, you see Leadership Brainery. We take these huge steps, and we love that because even next year is going to be even larger. Our third year, we opened up our larger physical space, the Leadership Brainery Clubhouse, where we have now hosted over 75 events at the clubhouse, had thousands of visitors there. And it is just an amazing space for our talent to be able to come, get their work done, experience Leadership Brainery's programming. And then we did something that we never thought that we would do. The dean of admissions over at Harvard Law School reached out to us and say, hey, I had a student who started this amazing nonprofit, but they're about to go work at this private firm and they don't really know what to do with it. They gain significant success really quickly. And so we acquired a nonprofit from Nancy Fairbank, a Harvard Law student at the time, called Dear Future Colleague. And it was a mentorship platform to help more students get into law school. We ended up developing a platform that hosted over 2,000 students, allowing them to get immediate access to mentorship resources, networking, and recruitment opportunities. And then in year four, just something cool because our ambassador program has still been going throughout the years. I haven't noted this, but in our second cohort, we had Valeria Brown, and this was our first student who did a dual graduate program. And so Valeria started our program as a sophomore from Tougaloo in Mississippi. And she told us when she joined that she wanted to get her MD PhD. And we said, let's do it. And Valeria ended up getting accepted into Brown University for her MD PhD. And so when she started, of course, me and Jonathan had to take a trip to visit her. And then 2 years later, Valeria got the Alumni Award at our Change Can't Wait Awards. We were invited to Washington, D.C. to speak at the Human Rights Campaign, to talk to their delegation of students about graduate school access and leadership. And of course, we had our first summit back in person. Year five, things continue to grow. We released our Office of Strategic Alliances, which we now partner with 20 K through 12 organizations in schools, and they serve as a pipeline for Leadership Brainery. And then we hosted a weekend at State Street with over 700 folks. It was a crazy weekend, but it was crazy successful. And so we had our first Change Can't Wait Awards with 500 of Leadership Brainery's dedicated community members. And then the next day we hosted 200 students for our graduate school summit. And a partnership that really stood out for us in year five was THL, which is a private equity firm you all may know, headquartered here in Boston. And we started our relationship with them. They've been a great supporter, but they've also hosted a private equity panel at Leadership Brainery the last 3 years. And so we just hosted our fourth one with them. And then year six, we started back, and this is the conversation we're about to get into very shortly. We started back engaging with our HBCUs. As many of you all know, that because Jonathan and I came from an HBCU and we came up here to Boston, we didn't have HBCUs. And so we were missing our HBCU engagement, our HBCU students. And so we had supporters, like I saw Nancy here on the line step up to give us significant donations to make sure that we can bring HBCU students to Boston. And then Leadership Brainery started to going to HBCUs so that we can host graduate school readiness events at the institutions. And so we've been to Fisk, Spelman, Morehouse, Howard. We released our impact report. And then one thing that we did in year six was it was our first year of our transitional grants that we now give to our Leadership Brainery ambassadors who enroll in graduate school. We give them $10,000 each to make sure that they can transition more comfortably and not experience those immediate barriers that a lot of students have as they're trying to get started. Year seven, Forbes reach out to us and say, we heard all the impact that you all are making. can you all write for Forbes equity column? And we did that in our amazing policy and research specialist, Josh, really owned this effort. And so we've now published over 17 articles in Forbes inside higher ed. So make sure you check those out if you haven't. We also started our advocacy arm, which we'll share a little bit more about later. And then some student success stories that happened in year 7. We had 3 Leadership Brainery ambassadors. We currently have 3 Leadership Brainery ambassadors at Harvard Law School all at one time. Of course, we have students all over the country, but this was a huge milestone, not only showing the amazing excellence of our students and their potential, but then also just Leadership Brainery's success of helping students get into competitive schools. And Danielle, the two on the right and left, Danielle and Toybot. Shout out to Toybot. Toybot is actually giving the class speech for her Harvard Law graduating class next week. So we're so proud of her. And they actually came to Harvard Law for the first time when we hosted our summit there back in 2018. They were both sophomores in college. And so that's 7 years of Leadership Brainery. We're now on year 8, and we have some amazing things ahead. So we have our cohort going back national. We have our Graduate School Access Collaborative, which is a recurrent event that all of you all can participate in, where we're bringing different graduate school experts, policymakers to talk about the landscape of graduate school. We are launching an HBCU graduate school grant. It's going to be a monthly $1,000 gift to an HBCU alum or current student who is attending HBCU or PWI, but you have to be an alum and you're currently in graduate school. I mentioned earlier we have some new board members and we have an interactive website that I may get to. Jonathan, do I have time to show the website really quick before I hand it over to you?
If you keep it at 3 minutes, we can definitely do that.
All right, cool, you all. All right, so I'm going to show you really quickly our just a couple pages of our new website. All right, so our new interactive website, this is really big for Leadership Brainery because it's going to allow us to help talent all over the country through our high touch program, but through also engagement on the website. And so folks could be able to come in and the website really adapts to whatever type of user you are. So if you're a donor, student, if you're the press, if you're someone who's just looking around, it's going to adapt to you. So let's start with student really quickly. So once you start as a student, you'll see your path to graduate school starts here. We have an AI chat box where students can now come. This is not open yet. You're all getting a sneak peek. So I say, now come, but, check us out in a month. And so we're still building this out, but, they'll be able to come here, start a conversation and say, I am interested in medical school. And so immediately it's going to show them one of our alum who's currently in medical school or maybe graduated medical school so they can see that representation. And then you can start having a conversation about the process of medical school, ask them questions and so forth. So we're really excited about this chat opportunity. And then we also have, I'm not going to show you everything, but I'm just going to show you some really cool features. So you go to our alum, and again, representation is really important because when we're talking to our youth and we're saying, hey, you have the potential to get into schools like Simmons and Harvard and MIT, no matter what undergraduate that you went to, we want them to see that our students also share that very journey. And so they'll be able to come here and see different alumni stories. For example, they can pick a different area that they're in, or they can just scroll down here and say, hey, I'm looking for maybe someone who went to law school. They'll see Mary Ellis. They can see her journey and before Leadership Brainery, just a little bit about what she said. We'll have some different videos. They'll be able to see, while she was at Leadership Brainery, mentioned that she took advantage of test prep and so forth. And then she received an internship from one of our sponsors that led to a job opportunity and really helped her shape exactly what she wanted to go to law school for. So that's going to be a really great feature that we're excited about. And then we have a resource hub that students are going to be able to come here and get different resources around admissions, financial aid, research that either Leadership Brainery is doing or that we feel is needed for our population. And as I mentioned, the site really changes based on views. So say I'm looking at the resources here and it's geared for students. If I'm a donor, it's going to then switch over and look like this. And it really shares what our students get access to. And, you'll be able to see a little bit more. And so we're really excited about that interactive piece. Even now that I'm on the donor site, I can go back here and now opposed to your graduate school journey starts here. It say every dollar prepares, another leader, and then this changes a bit more. And so we're excited about this interactive experience, you all. It's going to be game changing for Leadership Brainery and allow us to serve many more students. All right, I that was a lot, but that was a lot to celebrate. So I hope I'm not seeing the chat, but I hope the chat is buzzing with excitement with everything I just shared. I'm going to pass it over to Jonathan, so we go to the next section here.
Well, so can we take a moment and just flood the chat with so much love and appreciation for Derek because his leadership is innovative, cutting edge always. He always raises the bar for Leadership Brainery, for our team, our community, our students. And this is a demonstration of that, really taking us forward to that next level, developing a site that is intuitive, and that really is going to help so many students as we think about our two strategic pillars, which are going to the core to serve more students through our Ambassador Fellowship, which, as he mentioned this year, is going back national. And we're especially excited to make sure that students from HBCUs are applying to the fellowship and are going to be more greatly represented in this next cohort, which is cohort number 5. And then our second pillar is sharing what we know. And so this website is going to be our way of continuing to scale our resources, our insights, so that students all over the country, and dare I say the globe, can benefit from all of the incredible work that we've had underway over these last 8 years. And can I also then shout out all of our donors and supporters who make this work possible? I hope you feel proud of the last 8 years. I hope you feel proud of the investment that you've made and the way that we're leveraging it to continue to ensure that we can do this important work, especially during times like this, when our work is being impacted and challenged from every which way. Figuring out how to remain resilient and sustainable is the task at hand, and you all are helping us make that possible. All right. I'm so excited about this moment of our time together where we get a chance to dive into a timely conversation with two distinguished leaders. Derek and I have been talking a lot about our excitement for our HBCU pride. And as I mentioned with the Ambassador Fellowship going back national this year, with a keen focus on engaging the HBCU community, we thought that it'd be really important to then take a moment, reflect on LB's own legacy and history from an HBCU, but then obviously thinking about how can we shed light on the legacy of HBCUs and the incredible ingenuity that is birthed out of these places, and who none other than to bring these two distinguished guests to help us unpack this legacy some more. So first, I'm so proud that Grambling State University alumnus, whose leadership journey reflects the very spirit of possibility, service, and legacy, Dr. Martin Lemelle Jr. currently serves as the 11th president of Grambling State University, where he is shaping the future of hope and one of the nation's most historic HBCUs. And notably, he is also one of the youngest HBCU presidents in the country. He too is a former student body president of Grambling. I actually met Martin when I was freshman class president, so it gets me every single time I say this. And I'm so grateful for the way that you've also been a big brother to me and Derek as well. Dr. Lemelle's journey has come full circle, from student leader to institutional leader. And he's earned his bachelor's degree from Grambling, as I mentioned, an MBA from George Washington, and as well as a doctor of business administration from SCIMA in Paris, France. He's a respected scholar, advocate, and champion for student success. Dr. Lemelle continues to inspire through his commitment to leadership, innovation, and impact. And so I want y'all to join me in welcoming Dr. Lemelle to the stage as well, the virtual stage.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here with you.
Yes, and we're so excited to have you. And then I have our next guest, is a trailblazing leader, accomplished scholar, and nationally recognized voice on leadership and organizational transformation. Dr. Lynn Perry Wooten currently serves as the ninth president of Simmons University and is the first Black president in the institution's history. A proud HBCU graduate herself, Dr. Wooten earned her bachelor's degree from North Carolina A&T State University,
Right.
her MBA from Duke University, and her PhD from the University of Michigan. Throughout her distinguished career, she has become widely recognized for her work on leadership, resilience, crisis management, and organizational growth. Her leadership continues to redefine what's possible in higher education while creating pathways for the future generation of leaders. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Lynn Perry Wooten.
Thank you, and happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so amazing to see you all's faces.
Yes, we're so grateful. And we're going to jump right into this thing with this first question, Madam and Mr. President. Both of you are HBCU graduates whose journeys have led to leadership roles at major academic institutions. Could you take a moment, walk us back a little bit, though, to your time at your HBCU and share a moment or experience that fundamentally shaped how you lead today? We'll start with you, Dr. Wooten.
So happy birthday again.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I might have been an accidental tourist to HBCUs. I was thinking about Spelman, but my real first choice was Georgetown. But A&T found me in the mail through my SAT scores. And when I reflect back on why HBCUs are so magical, it's because they do everything research tells to make us successful. So going back to my A&T experience, I had extraordinary professors in the classroom. They cared about my success. They were more than the stage on the stage. They were also guides on the side. I've heard you talk about your involvement with student government, all three of you. I think outside the classroom at HBCUs, you're going to learn just as much, whether it be in the band, fraternity, sorority, sports. I can't tell you what I learned living in Barbie Hall, but I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it is the outside co-curricular experience. And then I don't know an HBCU graduate that doesn't have their mom or dad on campus. Someone who truly cares about you, who loves you, who steps up to be your best self. And one of the people I had was my sorority advisor, Ruby Rude, and then the secretary in the department in the accounting school. And then the fourth thing when I think about my experience at HBCU is that we make sure people don't go back home to their basements. We launch people in their careers in graduate school. And when I was at A&T, I did 2 internships as a financial analyst at GE. They also guided me to get into not only my MBA program at Duke, my advisors helped me there, but when I decided to get a PhD. And then the final thing I want to discuss, and the three of you might have seen this, is recently Gallup released a study that said students and graduates of HBCUs live longer. They have a higher quality of well-being in life, physical well-being, mental well-being, community well-being. And this is something magical. And this is why I love my HBCU. I often say it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes,
That's so awesome.
And it is. Dr. Lemelle, tell us your reflection.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Leadership Brainery, and thank you for connecting this intentional space. Dr. Wooten, we need to spend some time together. I started my professional career at GE in the financial management program. So
you were FMP also, okay.
I was FMP, yes. So
awesome.
as Jonathan and Derek often do, they are connectors and influencers.
Oh, they're the great connectors.
Always folks together. So I'm proud to lead Grambling State University as the 11th president, as a former student body president, as a native son of that community. And as I reflect back on the foundation of that journey, we really author the multi-hyphenate, right? I think Jonathan and Derek are examples. Dr. Wooten and myself are examples of that, where we may go through nonlinear career pathways, but we're always going to bring, as we stay in Louisiana, a little lanyap, a little something extra.
Come on.
Right. And so I think about former board member for Leadership Brainery, Dr. Portia Singh.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm at Grambling State University. She received her PhD ultimately from Carnegie Mellon, but as an undergraduate, she was a member of the Arkesis Dance Company. She was a inaugural member of our women's soccer team who won the first SWAC championship in that space. And so we prove each and every day that yes, we are somebody, but we can do anything. Anything is possible with the power and the cultural impact of an HBCU campus. And so honored to be here, honored to celebrate, and you all represent the very best of what the HBCU community offers.
Awesome. Thank you
That's so
so much.
amazing.
Thank you
It's
so
so
much.
dynamic. Appreciate both of those reflections. And Martin, I'm going to come right back to you because as a fellow Grambling State alum and former SGA president, I feel that special connection to our journey. And I'm so proud of you and I'm just so amazed by your journey. And so really deeply so, we've been shaped by relationships and that sense of possibility that we experienced at Grambling. And so seeing our story come full circle, how does this shared GSU legacy and full circle journey of Leadership Brainery, how does that resonate with you now as president of Grambling?
It's special in that we get a space to honor the achievements of our alums through their everyday work. The work that you and Derek are doing represents the spirit of what is true partnership and having a space to know that you get to places not just by yourself, right? Maya Angelou would say, I bring my people with me and I walk into a room and the ancestors are on my shoulders.
Look,
So
tell us.
when Derek was going through the website design and he checks in and he says, hey, Jonathan, how much time do I have, right? That was a leadership moment live, right? It was honoring a covenant to commitment of structure, but also allowing spaces for expertise to exist. And so we have to do more of that. I would encourage our students as you think about the relationships you're building, whether it's an undergrad or graduate school, you need to find you a Jonathan, find you a Derek, right? Somebody who you can partner with and ideate and troubleshoot and not feel small, but to bring the fullness of who you are into each and every space and honor that individuality, right? It is the gift that keeps on giving. And so we are celebrating 125 years of excellence at Grambling State University. As you mentioned, it's time to come home. And so I'm already thinking of some special ways to bring you all home to celebrate Grambling State University and the work that you're doing with Leadership Brainery.
Oh, man.
Yes, indeed. We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it.
On the first
so
flight
come
back,
with them.
let's do it.
What'd you say, Dr. Wooten?
I might have to come with them. They
I
come
think
You,
you
you,
need
you,
to come.
you do,
Yes.
you do. Don't say
Absolutely.
that, LT on the call. She gonna make it happen.
LT, make it
Yes, indeed. Okay, so Dr. Wooten, you are known for your leadership. If you don't know Dr. Wooten, just Google her. All right. So as a respected leadership guru and scholar, and with this event celebrating leadership, Brainer, while we focus on graduate school, we really focus on pathways to leadership. How do you define leadership, and what do you hope to see in the next generation of leaders?
Dr. Lemelle said it. It's what I call everyday leadership. Everyday leadership starts with, how do I show up to be my best self? What does my authentic self look like? When am I at my best? And then it's not only in what we learn at HBCUs is that I am my brother and sister's keeper.
Yeah.
So part of leadership is not only being your best self, but enabling and empowering others to be their best self. And what you learn at HBCUs is that we are at our best. It's the African proverb. If you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with others. Yeah. And we create this mosaic. And when we have the collective action, our best is greater than the sum of parts. That's what leadership is about. The other thing that HBCUs teach us about leadership is about showing up to really answer the crisis of your era. How can I make the world a better place? Whether it's educational disparities, health disparities, activating some people for voter rights, all of those are things. Economic mobility, social mobility, food insecurities. We make a way when it's impossible. And then you talk about the possibilities. We do it because, as Dr. Lemelle said, our ancestors show up with us, and we move it forward. And that's what everyday leadership is.
Yes, indeed. And we definitely work really hard to embed that everyday leadership in our students so that they are not just going to graduate school for a degree, but they're going to graduate school to make sure that their communities benefit from the privilege that they've now gained. And so for the both of you, you know what Leadership Brainery does, and you've been able to witness us over the years. And so how do you define the importance of our work in the broader landscape of higher education? Whoever want to jump in and start.
I'll lean in. So, we're at a time where a lot of questions are being asked, right? Negotiated rulemakings come out with guidance around what's considered professional or not. We're asking questions around the importance of ensuring that diverse populations can exist, whether that's looking at the number of students who are going to Yale Medical School and trying to do a think piece, right, to isolate one population versus another. And so you all are prepared to help us answer those questions in a way that's data informed, that speaks to the quality of the students who participate in Leadership Brainery and their preparedness for graduate education, and ultimately how, as a cohort, you outperform, right? UNCF always talks about punching above the weight, right? And so we know the burden on the shoulders of students who come from diverse backgrounds to ensure that they not just show up, but that they excel. And so when we think about the capabilities and sometimes those blind spots, the social constructs, the understanding of how to continue to fuel yourself when you won't get the fuel maybe from the masses, that confidence, that momentum is fueled through the work that you all do. And so I'm thankful that you're continuing to expand that mission and ensuring that our students who get the opportunity have the best support network to ensure their success.
I double click on what Dr. Lemelle says. You have a theory of change. And your theory of change is if we invest in students and diversify graduate school, the world will be a better place. I was just at a Breakfast Club meeting with Harvard's basketball coach, Tommy Amaker, who was my Duke classmate. I was in the MBA program. And in an MBA program, you're organized into sections. And I was telling Pam Everhart, who you had honored, she was at the breakfast too, that when Tommy and I were in our MBA program at Duke, we became such close friends because we were the only Black people in our section. And and this was back in 1988, 1989. We know that we need to diversify graduate schools, people from underrepresented, under-resourced backgrounds. There is no other institution like education that puts people on the path to be successful, to be leaders, to contribute to their community, and to achieve that economic mobility. And that's what Leadership Brainery is doing, one person at a time, collective impact, working with HBCUs and PWIs. People say that they have distrust in college. Does college have things we need to fix? We all have things fixed and reinvent.
Right.
But the people who say they have distrust in college, they're sending their kids to college because college and graduate school works. It is transformative, and you're part of that movement. So thank you, Leadership Brainery.
Thank you. Thank you both for being a part of that movement. We cannot do this without you all and folks like you. And I'm handing over to you, Jonathan.
Yes. And so, okay, I got a question for both of you that's a little less serious. So what is something about you that most people will be surprised to know? That wasn't in the pre-questions that we saw.
That wasn't. That's good to know. Doc, you want to go first?
So I will go first. Their roadie, Latanya Maxwell, says that, I'm from Philadelphia and I grew up not too far from where Dawn Staley grew. So that's most people don't know I'm from Philly or they're surprised. But the other thing is I am an avid collector of dolls. And so I have hundreds of dolls, everything from Barbie dolls to an Urkel doll to Phyllis Wheatley. And so that's something most people don't know, that I collect dolls.
And Dr. Wooten was a guest at Leadership Brainery show at the Museum of Science. And you have a doll from there too.
An astronaut doll.
An astronaut doll. You gifted me an astronaut Barbie, which is in my collection. And the astronaut Barbie is next to my Tina Turner Barbie.
Okay.
Come on. I love it.
I love that. Gosh, for me, I've had the benefit of living a life through social media and knowing when Facebook started and you had to use a college email to use it. So there's moments that I reflect, but some of the things that I think about at my core, some people may not know. I call myself art adjacent. So I
Mm.
spent 3 years at the Maryland Institute College of Art leading finance and ops.
Wow.
But actually, through one of Jonathan's talks when he does the Lion King, Hakuna Matata,
Yes,
and
yes.
he infuses this delivery and beautiful cadence that he has as an orator around the spoken word, but also utilizing his voice. And so I love karaoke. That's one of my favorite pastimes. And I too now have found a space to leverage that gift and talent, right, through some of the courage and confidence that I've seen him utilize with his beautiful oration and message that he shares across the world. So, little known fact.
That's
That's so
amazing.
awesome. Yes,
That's
indeed.
amazing. And that excites me so much. You always make me say, and it means no
Come
worries.
on. I
Oh,
did that.
Yes,
love
indeed.
it.
Yes,
All right,
That was the
indeed.
Jonathan.
prompt. That was
That
definitely
was
the prompt.
and I mean, Jonathan would give that whole story and sing every song if we gave him the time. And so, and so our last question before we move to audience Q&A, and if folks do have some questions and you want to go ahead and put them in the chat, feel free so we can keep it moving.
Yeah,
And
so
so,
literally, we only gonna have one time to do one question. So if you want a question, ask it right now. Go
yes,
ahead.
indeed. All right. And so, last question for you both is what is your message to Leadership Brainery as we celebrate this 8th year milestone?
For me, it's keep lifting as you climb. And
Mm.
it goes back to remember what I said is that, you're everybody's big brother or that cousin you love. You are making our community better. So continue to lift as you climb.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my message would be simple, like continue to be the answer. When folks ask the question, who will lead, who will build, who will defend democracy, who will ensure that there's a pipeline for students of color to attend graduate school and have a high quality education, continue to stand up and raise your hand and say, we're here. Be in the spaces, in the rooms where the decisions are made, and be unapologetic about it, which I know you all are. And so we celebrate you, we honor you, and keep going.
Thank you all. Thank you both so much.
So much.
So much. We appreciate your leadership. We appreciate your support. And as we say at Leadership Brainery, the best is yet to come.
Right.
Awesome.
Is
All right.
Jonathan gonna sing that song for us?
So Jonathan is not. He is not. If you want to stay after Dr. Wu, and I know you got something important to get to, then you can hear the song. All right. So maybe two questions, one or two questions. Anybody want to unmute themselves and ask a question, either for our amazing guest or Jonathan or myself?
All right.
I
Going
came
once.
off mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
What's next? What's the next big thing that LB has going on that you need our support for?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. So you all saw the website and many of the new features that we have coming, so that we can support more talent around the country. But one thing that Leadership Brainery is focused on right now, as you all may know, the federal government is making a lot of changes to access to higher education and graduate school, and so starting July 1st, there'll be some significant loan caps. That will price a lot of students outside of graduate school, especially many of the students that we serve. And so while Leadership Brainery, we've hit our student relief fund and we've been able to give, what we would call smaller dollars to some students to help with, everyday support. We really need to boost up our fund over the next few years to support more students with tuition and some more innovative ways that we can make sure that as we've seen the numbers drop over the last 30 years in enrollment from underrepresented students going to graduate school, that those numbers do not continue to decrease. And the elephant in the room is always the funding. So that's one piece, and many other things. And keep checking our emails, and you'll learn about those too. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
and continue to be deliberate about amplifying LB. So that is, if you haven't shared something with someone in your network in a while about Leadership Brainery, build up that mental habit of saying, hey, I got to do that. I need to be intentional about that. So literally make LB an obligation to you. So that you help us chart this mission forward. We turn 10 in 2 years. So over the next 2 years, we're going to be working very hard with our board of directors to really build a sustainability campaign for Leadership Brainery so that we can raise way more than we ever had in a shorter period of time so that we can really ensure that we're able to drive Leadership Brainery into the future. And so more to come on that. If you want to be a part of that, send me an email, ja@leadershipbrainery.org. So we can start having this conversation about how we can all chip in to make sure that Leadership Brainery can stand the test of time.
Awesome, wonderful. All right, so we have 2 more questions, and we're going to make sure that we answer them really quickly so that we can get over to another important guest. All right, Def, you could take yourself off mute and ask your question.
Hi, I just had a question. I don't know if you guys answered this about what kind of efforts you guys do as fundraising, like aside from obviously like crowdfunding and stuff like that. Do you like host events or anything like that to get funding?
Yes, we do. So we have, and thank you for that question. We have many of our supporters host house parties. We have one coming up next month. Our board chair, Matt Vitaik, is going to be hosting one. And so if that's of interest to you to mobilize your own community, and whether it's online or in person, and you invite Leadership Brainery to come in, share more about our work, that is a dynamic way to amplify the work. Of course, continuing to think about people in your network who you simply want to put in a good word, whether that's a family foundation or someone who's philanthropic, that always goes a long way. And you can always reach out to me, even in terms of scheduling time for a meeting. I'm always happy to go to lunch, dinner, have a drink, whatever, to get to know one another and continue to share more about the importance of our work. We're also going to be doing a lot of more storytelling in the coming year, really amplifying the successes of our students, sharing their stories as well. And I think that's going to be a really dynamic engine that people will be able to leverage to really help us amplify the work as well.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, indeed. Please connect with Jonathan and also Dana, who you're seeing in the chat, our development manager, on any ideas or ways that you would like to support with fundraising. We have one more question in the chat, and then I see our board chair, Matt, has his hand raised, but Matt, you're about to speak, so maybe you ask your question and do your speech at the same time. All right, so John Grossman, our great supporter, we really appreciate both John and Kate. So John says, in the face of the Supreme Court decision regarding Harvard and diversity in higher ed admissions, how are HBCUs impacted? Is this implicitly an attack on them, an opportunity, or both? Martin, you want to take that one?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. We are still focused on mission. And when we think about the Higher Education Authorization Act and the definition of what is an HBCU, it's grounded in our historical perspective, but our mission has always included open access. And as we think about our students who are choosing an HBCU, we're located right here in North Louisiana, but a third of our students are from out of state. And in our fall 2024 class, 20% of those students were international students. And so we continue to find ways to share our story that is grounded in the #1 institution in the state for social and economic mobility. And so that means that you would earn a world-class education at an affordable price point that delivers you an immediate return on investment, because we're also partnering with institutions and organizations who are ready to hire you and start internship processes early on. And so we see it as an opportunity to expand our reach and our message, but also continue to remind people of why we existed in the first place.
Thank you so much for that. We cannot allow any of the policy changes to affect our HBCUs, as they're so important to our ecosystem. So thanks for that question, John, and thank you for that answer, President Lemelle. All right, Jonathan, so I'm going to pass it back over to you to wrap us up and introduce our amazing board chair.
Yes, and so thank you again for to both our distinguished university presidents, Dr. Lemelle, Dr. Wooten, for joining us. Y'all, let's give them a round of applause once again for their extraordinary leadership. Continue to keep your eyes on Simmons and Grambling as well, in supporting their work as well, because we need them and we need leaders at the helm of them who connect with the work that we do also. I'm excited as we get ready to close out. We have a few minutes left to make space to introduce you to our board chair, Matt Matai, who is a dynamic leader in his own right, but has been supporting this organization for almost going on 5 years now.
5 years, 5 years.
Mm-hmm. 5 years.
So amazing.
Awesome years. I mean, it's just been awesome to see the growth and, to see the history of the organization today. So thank you.
Oh, my goodness. And we're so excited for your leadership and so grateful for your continued support. And definitely, I'll take a moment for you to say hello to everybody and remind people why Leadership Brainery is important.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. It's a real honor to be a part of this organization and certainly to be able to speak with you today as president of the board of Leadership Brainery and celebrate their 8 remarkable years of impact, growth, and possibility. It's also a little bit humbling to speak after the wonderful remarks from President Wooten and President Lemelle. Thank you very much for being here and for your leadership as well. When I first became involved with Leadership Brainery a few years ago now, I was compelled by their mission. I read about it in an article and didn't even know that this kind of organization existed, but it was definitely something that really spoke to me as a lawyer and somebody who recognizes the power of a graduate education. So then I was doing a deep dive in the olden days, Googling instead of using the AI. And watched a bunch of videos of these guys with incredible, talks that they were giving about the organization. So I kind of, talked my way onto the board, and it's been just an amazing journey for me to be involved. So I've spent my career in the law, and I've had the privilege of recently being the president of the Boston Bar Association and have served in a number of other leadership capacities where I knew I could use my voice for something much bigger than myself. And this is definitely aligned with that as well. I've seen firsthand the transformative power of education, mentorship, and networks. And Leadership Brainery doesn't just open doors, it equips young people to walk through those doors confidently, and it encourages them to hold those doors open for others behind them. This work happens because of all of you here, the incredible staff who show up every day with passion and purpose, the volunteers who invest their time and wisdom, the partners who believe in this mission and contribute to this mission, both financially and otherwise, and especially the students who constantly inspire us to keep going, to do more, and to aim ever higher. 8 years is a milestone, but in times like these, it's also a call to action to do more. There's still far too many talented young people waiting for a chance, and we here can help ensure that they get it. Today, we celebrate and reflect on the accomplishments and success of this wonderful organization, but we also need to recommit to equity, to access, and to the extraordinary potential of the next generation of graduate students and leaders. So thank you for being a part of this journey. I hope you'll continue on with us for a long, long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Matt. And thank you for those timely remarks. And we're so excited about this leg of our journey together. As Derek mentioned earlier, we are onboarding new board members to our board of directors. So excited that one of our new board members, David Woodruff, is on the call. We're so excited, David, to have you joining us soon, along with Jessica Castro, and Stephanie Miller as well. We'll send out something soon, introducing them to the community more specifically. We're just so grateful for your leadership. Catherine Wong is on the call as well, our past board chair and longstanding LB supporter. Thank you for your leadership as well. And Derek also mentioned in the beginning of the call about those Google reviews, and I hope a few of you got a chance to go and do them. Derek, I'll pass it back over to you to take us from there. But again, without beating it, I would remind you, if you have not already thought about making a gift to Leadership Brainery in this fiscal year. Our fiscal year ends on June 30th. And so we want to do everything we can to make sure people are making their contributions before the fiscal year closes. So please consider making a donation to LB, and consider doing it in an interval of 8. It could be $80, $800, $8,000, $80,000, $8 million, whatever you got. To invest in us continuing to do this work, please do. We need you now more than ever.
Awesome. Yes, we do. Please scan that QR code, make a gift for our birthday. We would greatly appreciate it. 60% of our funds come from individuals, which is not the normal circumstance for nonprofits. And that's how we really sustain and grow our work so significantly. And so, as I mentioned in the beginning, as we wrap up, Leadership Brainery is expanding nationally, and we need folks, when they Google us, when they chat GPT us, for them to see amazing reviews, not only from our students and their experiences with the organization, but also our supporters and why they support. So please scan this QR code, or just type us in Google, leave us a quick review, and you will be put in the raffle to win some custom LB Converse shoes. All right. So we are going to end there. Happy birthday to Leadership Brainery. Thank you all so much for joining us for this amazing, amazing celebration. Thank you to our 2 special guests, to our board, to our team, to our partners, to our supporters. We cannot do this work without you.